And I said, "Hey, boss, I'm laying you off." And we laugh and jokingly he says, "Well, what are you going to do?" And I said, "Well, I don't have to do anything. I own real estate. It makes money for me without working."
Yeah. Welcome to episode 12 of the Real Estate Junkie Podcast. Today, we welcome Dustin Heiner, the man whose book, How to Quit Your Job with Rental Properties, actually jump-started my own journey. Quitting his J-O-B, or as he is coined, just over broke, job in 2015 through passive income from rentals, Dustin has become a beacon for many seeking financial freedom. As the founder of Master Passive Income and the real estate wealth building conference known as Rubicon, his blueprint has empowered countless others, showing if he could do it, so could they. So Dustin, welcome to the Real Estate Junkie Podcast, brother. I'm really glad you're on my show, man. Your book, this one right here, How to Quit Your Job with Rental Properties, was a game changer for me, seriously. Back in 2018, I had just one rental property under my belt and an extreme desire to get out of the rat race. And when I got my hands on this book, and don't ask me how I bumped into it in the first place, like I was deep diving in everything real estate, and then this book somehow popped up. I ordered it, I read it, and it like gave me clear, actionable steps. But at the same time, you made it real, because through your story, I was like, yes, that's exactly what I want to do. And it really did serve as a blueprint to really kind of like kickstart everything. And by 2021, I pulled it off, man. I had enough cash flow to quit the rat race. And I left that world behind, man, successfully unemployed, just like you.
That's so encouraging. So when I wrote the book, honestly, I was writing it for my friends and family members who were asking me how I quit my job, how I became successful and employed by investing in real estate. And so I was teaching them one-on-one, and it was great, but it took so much time because they had a lot of the same questions. They're great questions. That's where you start. I thought, you know what, let me just write something so I could give it away so that they can read it and learn how to do it. And then when they have questions that are going to be really applicable to them, then we could jump on a call and we can help out. But I'm so glad that you got my book. And that, so when did you say that you became successful unemployed? What year?
2021.
Oh man.
And what really set it off for me is I was like already on that path, but I had a longer, like I thought it was going to take me another 5 years to get there. But the whole COVID thing happened and interest rates just took a dive, and I was able to like refinance my entire portfolio, which doubled my cash flow overnight. It was definitely, man, I will tell you, and I've told people before, like, you were literally my John the Baptist, like crying out in the wilderness. And you really did change my life, man. I really do appreciate it. Everything that you've put out there, and just having you on the show is great. Like, it's like, this is like, for me, like, I'm a big NBA fan. So this is like me bringing in Michael Jordan, having a
wow.
interview with him.
Thanks, Keith. I really appreciate it, man. It's really encouraging for me to hear you say that. And so for you, as well as you, the person listening, I want you guys to think of me, and everybody should be thinking of you, Keith. We're just like your next door neighbors. You know, we figured out a way to do it, and we just want to help people. But I really appreciate you saying that. And I'm so encouraged that you took action. And as I, in writing the book, as well as coaching people and showing people, I have a conference now that I help people to invest in real estate. All of that is so much more rewarding. And let me say it this way. So when I bought my first property, it was great. It was an accomplishment, but I didn't feel fulfilled. I felt like I needed more, which is fine. So I kept buying more properties. Each property was another accomplishment. And then when I quit my job, an even greater accomplishment, but I didn't feel fulfilled. I felt like I needed more. Then when I started helping people to invest, because blessed to be successfully employed, not needing any money, when I started helping people and serving them, when my first student bought their first property, I felt fulfilled. I felt like I helped another human being
Yeah.
get what they wanted most in life.
Yeah.
And now they're on the path to financial freedom. And so with that, when they quit their job, like with you being successfully unemployed, that makes me feel fulfilled. Like, my goodness, like I didn't accomplish it. You did, but I feel so blessed to be a part of that. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing that. I'm so glad you took action, because most people don't even take that. But then you kept moving forward, and then look at you now. And now you're serving people, which is it. That is honestly, in my opinion, everybody in life, they should get to the point where they're serving people. And that's their number one thought is, how can I serve more people? Quick last thing I'll say is, when you are working a job, I call it a JOB, a just overbroke job. When you're working that just overbroke job, you're serving one person. You're serving your boss. Now, you might have lots of customers, but that's not your customers. That's your boss's customers.
Mm-hmm.
You need to look at serving one person, making a little bit amount of money, or limited amount of money. Then if you become a business owner and you start serving your customers and have multiple customers, you're serving more people, which is great. And you're making more money and you're helping them. Then you go outside of that and you figure out, how many more people can I serve? Because the more people that you serve, the more money you'll make, the more fulfilled you'll be, and you're helping somebody else get what they want in life. And so pumped that you have your own podcast, man. I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what this podcast is about at the end of the day. Other than the fact, and I say this all the time, that my wife gets tired of me always talking about real estate. So this is an outlet for me. That's why I call it
You
the
and I
Real
could
Estate
hang out.
Junkie
Yes.
Podcast. But really, it's just to help other people, because it's like, the transformative power of real estate is just so huge. It's just radically changed my life. And I want to help as many people as I can get to that as well. And there really isn't a better wealth building product in the world than real estate. I mean, it's proven.
You're 100% right. And if you do it right, and the way Keith and I do it is, we invest in rental properties, 4 units and below. Now, multifamily apartment complexes are great. Storage facilities are great. They're all great. The only downside is that you have to sell those in the end because of financing problems, or meaning it's a 5-year loan and you have to sell it. But if you do residential, I love the 30-year fixed, and it's fixed. It's not going to change on me. And then once it's all paid off, I will literally give these properties to my kids in generational wealth, continually growing that. And a big thing that we do, and Keith and I do, so everybody listening, we focus on passive income. We focus on making money so we can feed our families. And what I loved when I started figuring out, okay, if I'm going to become successfully unemployed, I asked my wife, how much money do we have in expenses? And I remember the number, plain as day, it was $4,200. Mortgage, food, all that sort of stuff. And I thought, okay, well, let me see if I could figure this out. If I buy one property that makes me $250 a month in passive income, that's $3,000 a year. I'm like, that's not amazing, but it is great because I didn't work. And then I thought, oh, wow, it's just easy math. If I get 10 properties at $250 a month, that's $2,500 a month, $30,000 a year without working. Then 20 properties, $5,000 a month, $60,000 a year without working. Then I realized, my goodness, if I just scale my business, and figure out how to scale is something that I love to teach people, because it's hard to get past a certain number. But anyways, once I got to 20 properties, and now I have 30 plus properties now, just got under contract for one yesterday, which was super fun. But the more properties you have, the more money you make in passive income, then you can literally be free. But at the same time, you still get the appreciation. You still can borrow that money out of that property, buy more properties. You can still give these properties to your kids. So many amazing things. But to your point, 100%, the best wealth creation is in real estate.
Yes, absolutely. So I want to, because a lot of our listeners might not know you, right? They don't have your book, but I do encourage everyone, go get this book. It was a game changer for me. When did you first write this? Like 2015?
I want to say it might have been 2015, 2016. Yeah, I did.
Okay. Well, I mean, look at what 2015 rates were compared to today. A lot of people I know are like, oh, rates are too high. It doesn't work anymore. And I'm looking at like, not really, man. This is how I started. Like back when I started, the rates were pretty much the same as they are right now.
You're right.
So, but for the listeners out there that don't know you, can you kind of dig into your background, how you quit your just over broke job. I love that, by the way. And got into real estate in the first place. Kind of maybe just give us a brief summary of your life,
I
what got you
totally
here.
can. I totally can. And I can also give you a story of what shoved me into real estate investing and what like the big wake up call I had. But before I do, for everybody, if you want the book, I will literally give it to you for free. Just pay for shipping, the cost of the book and shipping. I'm not going to make any money in it. But I even have my daughter and my kids. They're the ones that print up the labels. They send them out. We just want you to invest. So literally for free. But if you go to masterpassiveincome.com/free book, all one word /free book, I'll give it to you. So that's easily. I want to give that out. Now, with that, I, just like everybody, was taught from when I was born to follow this plan. You go to school, you get good grades, and then you take those good grades and you go to college, you get in thousands and thousands of dollars into debt, and then get a piece of paper that you can hopefully, it's called a degree, hopefully go around to different companies or organizations and try to get a job. Well, I'm following that exact same plan. And then they say, work 40 plus years of your life and then retire and live at 65, 70 years old when your life is close to being towards the end and live on 40% of what you saved the entire time working at just over broke job. So I'm doing that exact same thing. And at the same time, so my job that I got into, it was a most stable, secure job you could ever think of. It was working in California for a local county government doing IT. So California is not going away. Technology is not going away. And we know government is not going away anytime soon. So the most stable, secure job. But at the same time, I've always been entrepreneurial, the idea of starting businesses and stuff. And so with that, I had a graphic website design company. I even had a newspaper route where you throw papers at 5 a.m., banging them on garage doors, waking people up. I had a convenience store. I even had a skateboard manufacturing business that I started from scratch, but I'm still working that dead end job. But I bought one rental property. And I made money without working. My property worked for me. So I knew I needed to be an investor, but life, as you know, Keith, started getting in the way. I and my wife started having children. We had 1, 2, 3, and 4 children, still working that dead end job. And this is what really shoved me into real estate investing. When my wife had our 4th child, I'm working a sit down desk job. I go on paternity leave. That's where the the dad stays home with the mom, changes poopy diapers, bonds with the baby, and all that good stuff. Well, after 2 weeks, I go back to work. And in that same week, I go back to work on a Friday at 3:30 in the afternoon. I get a call from my boss's secretary, the top dog. And she says, Dustin, would you please come to the office? And I thought, sure. And I hung up the phone. I paused for a second. Why in the world are they calling me to the office? Like, this isn't normal. And I've seen plenty of movies. Friday at 3:30 is not a good sign. So about 2 months before, there were some rumors, there's some rumbling going on that there could potentially be layoffs in the county. I immediately shook that off. I said, no way, I've got 12 years seniority here. My bosses think I do a great job. No, I'll be fine. So I get up and I walk down the hallway to my boss's office. Well, this hallway isn't very long. In fact, it's kind of short, but every single step I took, it felt like the hallway got longer and longer and longer. And it felt like my feet became lead bricks because the thought of losing my job was starting to weigh down on me. Well, I get down the hallway and I turn the corner and I see my boss's door. His door's closed and I see his secretary there. Super sweet, nice old lady. And she says, Dustin, would you please have a seat? She's looking at me, kind of sheepishly grinning at me, trying to console me with her eyes because she knows everything about what's going on. I know nothing about what's going on. So I go and I take my seat. And I sit there, I start thinking about my life. Like, oh my goodness, if I get laid off right now, that entire plan that other people told me to do, did I just waste my life doing this? And if I can't work, I can't make money. If I can't make money, I can't feed my family. And I thought, whoa, am I a failure as a husband? Am I a failure as a man, as a dad trying to provide for his family? Well, as I'm sitting there on the chair, my hands get all clammy, my forehead gets all sweaty because the nerves is just crushing me. Well, the door to my boss's office opens out. Out walks a coworker of mine with a piece of paper in her hands. She is noticeably distraught, noticeably upset, not necessarily crying, but you can tell her world has just been devastated. She passes by me and my boss says, Dustin, would you please come in the office? So I get up and I go into his office and I get laid off. And remember, this is the government. Nobody gets fired or laid off the government, but I did. Well, I take that layoff notice and I go back to my desk and I realize 2 things. This is the reason why I share the story. So the first thing that I realize is I need to get another job. I need to make sure that provide for my family. So I was really blessed, praise the Lord, to find another job in the same county. Another department wasn't having the same issues. Check, got that. Then sitting in that chair, the second thing I realized, and this is the main reason why I tell the story, I need to make sure that this never, ever happens to me again. I need to make sure that nobody has the ability to take away my ability to feed my family. So, right then and there, I said, no way, when anybody ever asked me the question, Dustin, what do you do? We always get the question, what do you do? I would always reply that I work for the local county government doing technology. Well, when we answer it that way, we're projecting the value that we put on ourselves is coming from our job. My value, I realize, doesn't come from my job. It comes from my God, from myself, and from my family. So right then and there, I told myself, anytime I get asked that question, I'm going to tell everybody I am an investor, because I knew I needed to be an investor, but life started getting in the way. Even though I would tell people that I'm an investor, but even though 100% of my money would come from my job, that's now my part-time job. I'm a full-time investor. So fast forward the story, started buying property after property after property, each one making me $250 a month in passive income. Eventually I had 30 plus properties. I was like, why am I still working here? Even though I'm making $75,000 a year, I am losing money. So the last part of the story, I went to my new boss, good boss and all. And I said, hey boss, I'm laying you off. And we laugh, and jokingly, he says, well, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I don't have to do anything. I own real estate. It makes money for me without working.
Yeah.
Well, the last part of the story, I would walk to and from my car to my job 1.5 miles every single day because I worked in downtown. I was too frugal to pay for parking. Well, I felt like on the last walk, 1.5 miles, I felt like I was walking on clouds because I knew I would never, ever need a job again, as opposed to that time where I got laid off, walking out that hallway that got longer and longer and longer.
Yeah.
I felt like I was walking on clouds because I realized nobody's going to pay me what I'm worth. So for you listening, I want you to realize that nobody will ever pay you what you are worth. You're worth so much more than anybody could ever pay you. This is how you know. Your boss is only paying you just enough to keep you working without quitting, but not so much as taking money out of their pocket. If they paid you what you're worth, they'd probably go broke. So what you need to do, my suggestion is figure out a way that you can serve more people. And my ways through real estate investing and coaching people how to do it. With that, you serve more people, you make more money, you feel fulfilled, but you also help people get what they want, and then you'll get what you want. So I'll pause the story because you probably got plenty of questions.
Yeah, I mean, it's so crazy because I remember reading that segment in the book about how you quit your job and that feeling that you had and the conversation that you had. And when it was time for me to like step away from my job, they thought I was crazy. They're like, "What?" They were even offering me like more money to stay because they didn't want me to leave. And it wasn't about the money anymore. Like I would have made more money staying at my job at that time, right? But I'm like, no, this is I just like you. I didn't like that feeling every morning I got up. Not to mention the biggest thing for me was being away from my family because my job had me traveling all over the place. And I just missed so many key moments with my kids. And I was done with it. I'm like, I had one last little one at the house that, I could see, really grow up. And I'm like, I want to be there when he first does everything, right? That is my goal. I want to be that dad that drops him off in the morning, eats breakfast with him, picks him up from school, the basketball, soccer dad, whatever you want to call it. That's what I want to be. Because before I left my job, that was never me. I was the guy always barely making it into the game or whatever because of work. And so that was really my why. And now that I've got there, now it's like you, like I want to tell as many people as I can because just life is so short. Your family grows up so fast. Your kids grow up so fast. Like don't miss those moments. And through real estate, through passive income, and it's not 100% passive. We know that. Sometimes it rains and literally like flooded basements, roof leaks, these things. But and this is what I always tell people. If you have proper insurance, if you have a handyman and contractors on deck that you can call, if you have a property manager and whatnot, like all these things can be mitigated, and it's a lot less work at the end of the day and time restraint on you than a job. And that's the bottom line. You control your own destiny.
You're absolutely right. And a lot of people kind of get hung up, or at least some people get hung up. Well, it's not passive because you have to do some work. I'm like, yes, it is passive. If I do not go to my job and clock in, clock out, then I don't get paid. That's active income. You work 1 hour, you get paid for that hour. That's active income. Passive income is where you do something that you get paid over and over again from that one time. When you
Yeah.
buy one rental property, the property is literally making you money because it is doing the work for you. Now you have to
Yes.
maintain it, but I don't maintain it. And Keith, you'll absolutely get this. I don't pay for repairs on any of my properties. I don't pay my mortgage. I don't pay my taxes. I don't pay my
Yeah.
insurance. I don't even pay for property managers. Like, I don't have to get a job to pay for
Yeah.
those things. My tenants pay for those things, and I make money on top of that. So when you think
Yes.
about as passive as it can get, just like if you wrote a book, a best-selling book, and you keep selling it forever, you worked one time. Now you might need to do some publicity. Oh, that's work. No, it's not necessarily work. You're just making sure that it keeps moving forward. So the passiveness is when we build a business, when we scale the business. And like you said, you had a few properties before you read the book. And so what I love to show is that how do we make it automated? Not just
Mhm.
automated, how do we make it run itself with experts?
Yeah.
Experts doing the work for us. Because if we don't, we don't find the experts, we actually have to do it ourselves. I don't want to get calls in the morning or 2 in the morning. I don't want to have to deal with tenants. I don't want to deal with any of that stuff. In fact, people have read the book, The 4 Hour Work Week. Really good book, but the premise is to make your life so you only have to work 4 hours a week. Well, in my opinion, working 4 hours a week is for suckers. I don't want to work 4 hours a week. I don't want to work 4 hours a month. I only work maybe 30 minutes every month. I look at the property management statements from our property managers, make sure everything's good, and go right back to playing with my kids because
Yep.
I've given them the systems and procedures and processes in my business so they run it the way that I want them to do it. Does that all make sense?
It does 100%. So I want to ask you, like, because there's a lot of people that are listening that are like thinking about getting into real estate. Maybe they were like me when I first started. They had one rental property, but they didn't really know what to do next. Maybe you can talk a little bit about what would you recommend somebody that's just like maybe they're struggling. Maybe they have a 9 to 5, but they're living paycheck to paycheck. So they're like, how can I even get started? What do I do? What would you recommend?
Totally. Absolutely. So this is the number one thing. If there's anything that you remember from this conversation that I'm having with Keith, for you listening, the number one thing that you must do is build the business first. When I say that, and I'll explain in just a second, when I say that, you might be thinking, I already have a business. Already, I bought a property and the quote unquote gurus told me as soon as you buy a property, it's a business. Like, no, you don't. You have a business when you have all the systems, procedures, and processes and people, experts in place running it for you. That's when you have a business. So, like on my podcast, on my coaching, I always harp on this, and because I've done it, where I did not build the business and I've lost money, lots and lots of money, because I followed what the quote unquote gurus said. But then when I build the business, that is when I actually have an automatic. That's when I don't do any work and I make more money. So when I say build a business, let me give you a quick example of what that looks like. Now, imagine you were starting a convenience store, candy bars and soda machines and all that good stuff. Well, you would not sign a lease on a location, open the doors, and set a box of candy bars in the ground. You wouldn't do that. You go out of business in 2 seconds. But what you would do is you would build the business first. You get the gondolas, those are shelving units that all the candy bars go on, the countertops, the cold storage, bank accounts, cash registers, insurance, employees, everything in the business before you buy any inventory. Same thing with real estate investing. What we do is we build the entire business, finding the right contractors, property managers, plumbers, roofers, contractors, realtors, wholesalers, inspectors, insurance agents, mortgage brokers. We get all these people in the business before we buy any inventory. Your properties, my properties, they are inventory. Now, remember, I did say that I tell everybody I'm an investor, but what I actually am is a business owner. And my business owns inventory, and that inventory is real estate. So when you're thinking of building a business, you need to make sure that you have that perspective. Number one, we build the business, have the right people, experts. Like Zillow's not expert, Redfin, Trulia, Realtor.com, those are not experts. We want to hire the experts in there on the ground doing the work. So that's number one. Number two, we want to make sure, since it's a business, that's making money. Let me quickly go back to like the candy bar or a candy bar analogy. It's kind of convenience store related. So if you could buy a candy bar for 50 cents and you know every day, all day, you can sell it for $1. Well, you would think, man, I'm going to do that all day, every day. I'm going to make 50 cents on every single candy bar I sell. Well, what if you didn't have that 50 cents? And it's a beautiful thing about real estate. What if you didn't even have that 50 cents? Well, let's say it took you 25 cents to borrow 50 cents. You're out of your pocket 75 cents. You're selling it for $1. You're still making 25 cents on every candy bar. You're gonna be thinking, how can I borrow more money? How can I sell more candy bars? Because same thing with real estate investing. We use other people's money. We get mortgages. But here's what you would not do. You would not buy a candy bar for $2 and sell it for $1. That's not a business. You'll be losing money. Same thing with real estate investing. We build a business first, make sure we have experts doing the work for us. Then we make sure that when we buy the property, we make money every single month in cash flow, because nobody goes into business to lose money every single month. You're in business to make as much money as you can and provide a great service. So when I look at the number one thing anybody must do, if you're just starting out, or even if you have 5, 10 properties, if you have not built the business that it runs on its own and you're not making cash flow, we need to change that. We need you to make sure that the business runs on its own, as well as you're making money in passive income. So those are the biggest things that I would suggest for anybody if you're getting started or if you're wanting to scale your business. And one of the things I love to do is help people scale their business to 20, 30, 40, 50 plus properties, and then getting into alternative investments like investing in land, investing in storage facilities, apartment complexes, note investing, or lending out your money.
With all that being said, I know you have built a pretty impressive community through Master Passive Income, and then also the Real Estate Wealth Building Conference, right? Rubicon.
Yes.
Love the acronym, by the way. How can listeners like get involved and benefit from these resources?
So get my free book. You already have that link, masterpassiveincome.com/free book. All one word, I'll give it to you. Literally just want to give that out. As well as I have a free real estate investing course. Like just give that up. People invest just from reading that as well. So if you text the
Now,
word
real
rental.
quick,
Yeah.
on that course, does that cover? Because this is where I get a lot of questions. It's like, hey, should I buy something local? Should I buy something at a distance? I can't afford the homes in my area. Like, does it kind of give some guidance around that?
Absolutely. And so on top of
Perfect.
how to invest, we're also going to show you, or I try to show you, that you can invest anywhere in the country, all over the country. In fact, I invest in Ohio, Texas, Arizona, Tennessee, Missouri as well. And so I invest all over the country. My students, we invest all over the country because not everywhere is going to be a best place to invest, but there are so many great places, like Midwest is great. But if you text the word rental, RENTAL, to 33777, rental to 33777, I'll literally give you my course for free, show you how to find a area anywhere in the country to invest in, out of state, especially we love investing out of state, how to scale the business, how to make sure you're doing it right and be able to get financial independence. You can also go to masterpassiveincome.com/free course, all one word, /free course. But then with that, I also have my podcast, the Master Passive Income Podcast, where it's 90% just me teaching literally how to invest. You can even reach out to me on Instagram. I love getting DMs on there. the Dustin Heiner. Dustin Heiner. You could DM me on there. And no, Keith, I'm not that arrogant. It's the only handle I could really come up with, the Dustin Heiner. But you could reach out to me on there. YouTube as well, Master Passive Income. And then Rubicon. Well, I want to share this with you. So the reason why I created my conference, the Real Estate Wealth Builders Conference, was because I was suckered into another conference many, many years ago. This was like 2006 when I first started investing. And it was like, hey, we're coming to your town. And it was all hype and all sales pitch from the main stage. And they say, run to the back. It's normally $1 billion, but it's like $10,000 today. So I got suckered into one of those. And I said, I want to create something that's complete opposite of that. It's all about value, all about giving. And so 3 years now, and its annual conference, the Real Estate Wealth Builders Conference, it's all about value, all about giving. We have 50 plus speakers that are all my friends that we're all coming together to help out. So if you want to come, you go to Real Estate Wealth Builders Conference. So REWBCON.com, Rubicon.com. And I will literally give you 10% off if you use a promo code podcast give you 10% off your ticket. But we travel all over the country this next year. 2025, we're going to be in St. Louis. But the biggest thing is we're a community. It's not a sales pitch. In fact, it's a no sales pitch conference because I hate that personally. So I'm going to I'm going to fulfill my goal as best I can to help 1 million people to invest in real estate. So Keith, you're one of them. And hopefully your listeners as well. Hopefully they're going to be doing just like you did.
Absolutely. I thank you so much, man. This has been just incredible. I appreciate you sharing your journey with us. For those out there listening, you definitely want to get a hold of this guy. You want to plug in. He's offering this book for free, which this is an incredible starting point for you. And he has a course too. Definitely take advantage of it even if you've already started investing. Like when I bumped into him, I already had a property under my belt. I already knew I wanted to own rental properties, but I needed somebody that was really doing it to that I could use it as an example. And that's exactly what he provided for me. So I definitely encourage you to check him out. And the other thing I'm just going to say is back in, I think it was 2018, I actually sent you an email and I had like a few questions, and you answered them. I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's like answering my questions, giving me some tips. So I really do appreciate that, man. You're very approachable. I want to, let's keep in touch, man. I'd love to rub elbows with you and learn from you. And who knows? I mean, we may do a deal together even.
Absolutely, Keith. It's great. And I love that you have a podcast. I personally love podcasting. Podcasting is so much fun for me, and just interacting with the listeners, obviously it's hard through the podcast, but like through DMs or emails like you, I just love seeing people invest. But yes, let's definitely stay connected. And hopefully this next year you'll be able to come out to RubeCon and we actually have a podcasting booth. We could even do a dual podcast together. But man, this is great, Keith. I'm really glad you reached out. I'm glad you have a podcast. It's so much fun.
Oh, it is. Thank you so much, Dustin, for being here. I really enjoyed it, and I look forward to many more conversations with you, brother.